to just shift the conversation now to the demand side of things, starting with you, Saurabh. We were discussing earlier today that when we talk about that vernacular next half billion Bharat audience, as we speak in EloElo, is really a Bharat native, Bharat first app. And as you dissect your TAM on the demand side, outside of the utilitarian use cases as to why people come online, when I say utilitarian, I mean you come for a payment or a grocery purchase. We were talking about three other distinct use cases. One is for hope, which is the say betting or lottery. Why do you do that? It's for hope. Then there's social, which is for social status, validation from friends, family, peer group. And then there's escapism. And so LOLO being like live entertainment and with social loops. Give us some insights into your TAM as you have dug deep into their personas.
Amazing. So very interesting that you touched on this. And internally, we call it the way we dissect digital products. We internally have a code word for it. We call it SESHU internally. It's basically 5 words. It's social, escapism, status, hope, and utility. When you sort of put them in perspective, you realize that and it's basically human behavior that you're talking about at the demand side, right? That most of the things that you do is to engage with one out of these or a combination of these as a motivational behavior. When you sort of go on, whether you go on a dating app, it's to socialize, it's to meet people who you didn't know previously. When you're on a credit card app, and which is sort of giving you a privilege, it's some kind of a status that you're getting. On an EloElo, which is essentially the whole premise of EloElo, is it's engaging live streams blended with games, right? It's live streams with colloquial Indian games like a bingo, antakshari, damsharade that is happening live in front of you. So why we use the word escapism and social is because as a demand side, and given predominantly that our majority of our users are tier 2, tier 3, 78% of our audience is non-metros, and very interestingly, about 48% of them happen to be females, right? So what we sort of discovered was the fact that the entire audience seeks a differentiated form of entertainment. And if you look at the nature of entertainment, it has really evolved over the past few years. It started from just basic text messaging to photos, to videos, to short format, to now live, authentic side of entertainment content. So for them, EloElo essentially doubles down as a live television in that sense, where TV is so vast, a lot of use cases of TV have got unbundled. But when you look at the entire game shows, reality shows part of TV, and you sort of bring that for a smartphone, where it's not your traditional Amitabh Bachchan, but it's a micro influencer. It's an influencer who is A, relatable, B, talking to you and interacting with you in your own language. That really sort of drives home the point for an end Indian audience user who's a Bharat consumer. They like being spoken to, they like being addressed, they like a differentiated form of entertainment. And when we launched this, the few things that really sort of struck us were, one, the games itself was a refresher for the audience, where they said that I used to have these separate kind of products where I used to play these hyper casual games, and I used to have these separate kind of products where I used to enjoy content. Here, my favorite creators have come together and they're presenting a live game experience to me. It's almost like a kitty party experience coming live. So which is why the first set of demand, the first set of network effects that we even grew into were females. Typically, not your conventional 15 to 18-year-old TG, but the 25 to 33, 32-year-old TG, which did not have any addressable product right now for them. So while there are 450 million gamers, if you start looking at people who are coming into this, it's all of them are adopting to newer and newer formats every few days, every few months. So EloElo became that for them. And second was, when you have creators, and that's the beauty of where demand and supply sort of really come together. Our creators are micro influencers, so they tend to be relatable. They tend to converse more. And very interestingly, the engagement of such creators is almost 3x as compared to a macro influencer, right? Because when you gift them something, they pause, they take your name, they interact, and that's gratifying. So that's where escapism sort of interacts, sort of meets with social, and it gives, as a user, it gives you a bit of status as well, because your name is being taken in a live room. Someone's taking your name, chatting with you and saying that, how has your day been? So I've escaped from my day-to-day reality. I'm in someone else's reality. I think that is the whole concept of metaverse in the entire space, where I'm in someone else's reality, someone else is welcoming me into someone streaming from their living room. So I'm virtually in your living room and I'm chatting with you, you're addressing me, and I feel great about that. So that's where we believe what we're trying to essentially do is take creator fan interactions to the next level. And that's the entire value proposition what we're trying to solve for also. So I hope that gave you context.
No, fantastic. And Abhishek, you're on the absolute other side of the spectrum. You're addressing the power spenders, as we say, and addressing the 140 million Indians who shop online. And we all know that today the large horizontal e-com marketplaces have become, they're so horizontal that they're trying to be everything for everyone. But help us understand why your Gen Z TAM doesn't behave that way, and what would attract them to a highly curated platform like Downtown. You're on mute, Abhishek. Thank you.
So in terms of consumer behavior, so basically if we have to design an ecosystem, right, it has to be based on a consumer behavior that we're really aligning with. In terms of Gen Z, tier A, urban affluent TAM that we are kind of addressing in terms of conversions, what we realized was when we started talking to these consumers, one point kept on repeating is that how do I shop for things that I don't know I want to shop for, right? Basically, impulse purchases and virtual window shopping has gone online, right? People have free time. People just want to discover stuff. If they see something that they like, they buy it and then rationalize it, right? And this is a new consumer behavior in India. So if you see all the horizontal marketplaces, including the big ones, they are engineered, designed for the use case where a consumer knows what they want to buy, more or less, right? So the top real estate in an interface would be devoted to search, followed by sorts, filters, etc. And the basic assumption is that the person who's accessing it knows what they want to buy. And essentially, they are optimizing on the conversion bit. So once the person has seen what they wanted to buy for, does the checkout or the conversion happen seamlessly? And that's where the optimization is going on. Our TAM is coming up and saying that forget about conversions or optimization on checkouts. We don't even know what we want to buy for, right? We're just in the discovery mode. We're just in the browsing mode. And they consider shopping / browsing as a me time, right? So I have like 20-25 minutes off, and this is my me time, basically tying up to escapism, what Saurabh was kind of denoting too. And when we're designing for escapism, the ecosystem has to kind of be complementary to the fact that we're designing for escapism, which means it has to support a person to help escape from the other realities of the world. In that case, data kind of plays an important role heavily in terms of how the systems are getting designed. So essentially, the TAM is coming up online and we are helping them stay online just through the fact that we are able to sift through the clutter around discovery and browsing. So we're building Downtown in a way where these people come online just to discover what is new, what is fresh. And the promise that we make is every time you come onto the app, you will see fresh brands and fresh products. The only caveat being they will be relevant to you as an individual, right? So it's not a stock ticker. Not everybody who comes on Downtown will see the same brands or same products. It is personalized around you. And that's what makes it interesting for this tab. In terms of early experiments that we are running, what we're seeing is two cohorts under the TAM. One are the people who rely on impulse purchases and who are responsible for conversions, right? These people are the premium spenders. The data is a little bit vague, but 2.5 lakh households, somewhere around 7 million, 8 million people. The other set of users are the aspirational discoverers, right? What we like to call, and they've blurred the boundary between tier A and tier B. So we're designing Downtown to be a tier A conversion platform, but at the same point of time, tier B audiences are increasingly coming up and saying that, hey, we like to discover for aspirational needs, right? Maybe 1 year down the line, 2 years down the line, but we want to discover what is new and share it across my friends. And basically, these are the two cohorts that we're focusing on.
Oh, great. And Gunjan, with you, what was that first category of users on the demand side that you identified as most critical to onboard, or which was that first micro network or cohort that gave you that escape velocity?
Very interesting listening to answers from both Abhishek and Saurabh. And I feel, and I'm listening to that and I'm processing it, and I feel that our discovery of the market and what we are doing right now has been very different from how maybe, Abhishek is describing. So like, Abhishek, when it comes to say Downtown's case and how he's explaining, it starts from, identifying a problem and, then building a solution around it. Versus in our case, as I mentioned earlier, we started with a thought process that, we are building it for teachers. And in that process, we discovered this market. We discovered this market where we realized that while we were helping these, hundreds of diverse teachers who were teaching such diverse things, we understood that there were so many people who were willing to learn those kinds of things. And at BitClass, from day one, we've emphasized on having a business model like from day one. And when we started seeing that there were users and these courses were becoming, people were paying and there were repeat purchases that were happening, or these courses or these cohorts were getting filled again and again, right? That is when we sort of understood that, hey, there is a market for it. And today this was not as obvious to us about a year and a half or 20 months ago. But today, when I think about it, it absolutely makes sense, right? India as a country has been like aspirational. People want to learn, but if you think about the avenues for if you think about avenues for discovering and learning all these different kinds of things that people might want to learn, but there is always a friction, right? I think that is something that BitClass is solving. That is something that BitClass is solving for our users. On the escape velocity side, again, since this was not designed from a consumer first perspective, in this process of working with a horizontal base of teachers, right? Horizontal base of courses. You could say, on an iterative basis, we discovered across categories a certain number of courses which became like our hero products. Or to give some other example, that these became like our micro markets, right? Where these courses would then give us the bandwidth to then expand into multiple other courses in similar categories, right? So instead of say finding and this is the most organic thing that has happened. Instead of going and saying that, okay, this is the TAM that we want to identify, this is the audience segment, this is the TG that we want to build for, what happened organically in this process, in this iterative processes, over a bouquet of hero products or hero courses on our platform, we built a significant base which we know helps us experiment with trying anything else that we want to do on the platform. Very similar to how, say, a San Francisco or a New York market for Uber would help them fund like the India operations. Very similar to that, we have like about 50 courses on our platform which help us experiment with another 200 courses on the platform. And this discovery of 50 courses has not been us going and finding a solution for a TG, but it has organically happened while experimenting, iterating with lots of courses that we have understood that this is the kind of learning where there is a lot of demand.
Oh, great. And Saurabh, staying on the demand side, with EloElo, you have literally seen CAC of 9 rupees, right? And given that you're one of those rare content entertainment apps that's among the top 10 on the Play Store with such low CAC. So while you might not be willing to divulge all your secrets here, I'm just keen to actually understand, was there one moment, multiple moments? When was that point in time in your last 20-month journey when you had that moment, that aha moment where you thought we've hit PMF and now there's massive, organic traction for us?
I think the entire premise itself was creator-led growth at all points of time. And that really sort of is the USP of the platform, because it's a classic two-sided marketplace problem, if you think of it, where you have creators, you have users, and you have to initially figure out, how do I get my users and give enough meaty traffic to these creators? The way we figured out was, and it has a lot to do with supply side insights as well, where we realized that micro creators, the long tail, are hustlers in general. So they like sharing. When they came on EloElo, when they were hosting their first few live streams, and I remember the first few lives, it was a punt, right? Where we were launching different formats. It's never been done in India. Nobody's ever launched a live Antakshari, a live Tambola, or a live dumb charades. And we ask these creators that just share among your networks. And there is the 1,000 super fans or the 1,000 true fans theory that Legion really talks about. And I saw that really manifesting on EloElo, where some of their fans typically gravitated and they were the early adopters. They came in. And while those numbers started with a few hundreds of users attending their lives, that gradually grew, that compounded. And the second thing that we started seeing was a lot of cross pollination. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're a micro influencer hosting a live and I'm here and our audiences are all on now EloElo. We sort of, they discover each other, they discover other creators, they discover more relatable formats, and then it started growing from there. So it was a combination of a lot of such aha moments where I think the first thing that really hit us was when we had launched a small creator in who's, I mean, no creator is really small, but somebody who has a 15,000 follower base on Instagram, who now has grown to 50,000 followers on EloElo. There's a creator called Anna Kukreja that I just want to sort of talk about here. She came in, she literally built a community from scratch. And I saw thousands of people attending her live stream and thousands of people chatting and saying that, wow, and people saying that, hey, I came here from your Instagram. And now she's starting to promote her Instagram as well, saying that, wow, I've built such a big community now on EloElo. Also, some of you can follow me on other social platforms. Also, I'm present here. So the insight we got was that now look at how creators are. They are like portfolio managers, right? Because they are trying to diversify a portfolio and trying to build their craft among different platforms and grow an audience. And that gave us so much of enthusiasm around this, that if we're able to build an Anna Kukreja and make her a superstar on EloElo, and she's going to 55,000 followers, such that she's looking at this as the main platform now and the others as sort of complementary platforms, then imagine what we can do with all of these creators coming here. And from then to now, we've crossed 33,000 creators, give or take. Some of them are power users turned creators. Some of them are pure Instagram influencers on the platform. Secondly, we did a lot of these live streams with some of the macro folks as well. So we once had a TV star coming on EloElo where we had close to about 22,000 users logging in every minute. And that was a moment where we realized, okay, we have, this is PMF happening at scale because people are loving the product. And it's a combination of a lot of creators who are coming in, adopting the product, both from long tail to mid tail, and everyone sort of adopting it at scale. And scale is where you really try to test your PMF. So that was the second insight. And third was typical base shifts, where after a point of time when you've acquired and when you see that organic is growing well, our organic share used to be about the 70-75% every month. And we saw that this is continuing because of a lot of creators are still sharing. I mean, I'm there on all these posts that they tag an EloElo social media account in. So when I see these 500 notifications where we are being tagged, it fills your heart with joy, right? That a lot of creators are taking pride in saying that, come and join my EloElo live. And that's where the $9 or $8 of CAC sort of really comes in, because then you're completely built for organic, you're built for high growth, and it's non-linear in that sense, because even when it grows fast, the CAC doesn't really go up. So it was a combination of these three sort of aha moments for us.
No, incredible insights. And you spoke early on about the classic two-sided platform problem of, do you solve for demand first or supply first? And Abhishek, just moving to you, you obviously chosen to solve the brand problem statement first, but take us to the how and why of that thought process.
Sure. So when we're building downtown in early stages, the marketplace problem is like everywhere, right? And what we were trying to figure out is there a way to engineer for momentum, right? Where we don't spend a lot of time, effort, and money in getting both sides of the market on the same page, and then kind of build the product and make sure that we are onboarding demand side consumers, right? And to do that, basically there were three major Venn diagrams that helped us, right? One was, can we leverage the unfair advantage that the smaller brands have in terms of content creation, right? We don't have to create content because these brands are amazing at creating that content in terms of the product pictures, in terms of descriptions, everything. And that's where they start becoming interesting for the end consumer also, right? So if these brands themselves are great at content creation, essentially, can we reuse all of that data and just make sure that we're building a discovery-led experience rather than solving for content or building huge content teams in place to curate and make sure that these brands are having a better position and better branded content, right? So that was one. Second was the fact that we were able to tap into Shopify, right? If we we align ourselves to an existing e-commerce platform, and we are a part of their third-party ecosystem. Can we build a brand side dashboard which essentially is tech enabled actually? Because while we talk to brands, all of these brands unanimously tell us that there's only one tech-enabled supply side platform, which is Amazon. Apart from that, all of the other marketplaces typically would request them to send Excel sheets and folder product images in a folder, and then they will tag. All of that is essentially either translated into cost or time, right? And that's where we started building downtown on. So let's assume that we're able to just reuse the content that these brands are pushing in, and we're able to integrate with an existing Shopify store. Can we do two things? One, make sure that we are onboarding brands seamlessly. And second, does that content kind of create the kind of discovery experiences that we are wanting to create for the consumers? And we solved for these two assumptions. And over a period of 2 months, we're fairly certain that both of the assumptions are validated and are solved for, and that's where we started building the product. We hadn't built the product before that. The idea was just to solve for these two assumptions, because if these two assumptions don't fall through, then there's no point creating the marketplace, because it's the whole loop again and again, and we don't have an unfair advantage against the other players out there.
Great, very, very deep insights on both the the long tail on the supply side, as well as the early steps that you all took to generate demand. Just a final question, and we'll just do a round robin. Really want to know what's keeping you busy and excited, and Gunjan, what can folks look forward to in BitClass in the coming quarters?
So basically, building flywheels, demand supply flywheels, where your cohorts look business positive, I think ROI positive. I think that's the biggest high that you can have after validating what you're building, whether there's demand for it and all of that. How do you build it into a great sustainable business model? And today, I think after having done about 10,000 plus live classes and across so many categories, working with so many teachers, and now having a decent enough student base. Today, I can see, that there are signs of these flywheels happening. A typical marketplace flywheel, where more demand, more students attract more teachers make the offering bouquet, much wider, and that attracts more students, make the product proposition more attractive for the students, right? And that is a continuous, like, self-fulfilling sort of a loop, right? Growth loop, right? We are seeing early signs of that, and that is what we are most excited about. Taking all the steps. It's a complicated process of matching demand, supply, synchronous availability, content to keep people engaged, etc., etc. We have started seeing those signs of marketplace flywheels happening on the platform, and I think that is what is keeping me awake, and that is what I'm chasing personally, because it would be great to platforms like BitClass do not have an if. Right? There is no if about whether platforms like BitClass will exist or not. Whether BitClass is going to be that platform which solves it for the next 10 years, that is the question. And for that, all that we need to at this point in time, the way we think that if we are able to build that flywheel, then it becomes a very, very strong, fundamentally strong company, right? And that is what is keeping us awake and motivated on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely, Saurabh. How are you keeping the innovation engine on at EloElo, and what new games can we look forward to?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like a dream, right? Where you're just sitting in a room and you're writing with a marker and building games from scratch. So, I mean, it's as creative as sometimes it can get. So, to tell you a little bit about what we are building, it's a small sneak on our journey itself, right? I mean, we started with about 2 games and doing about 40 to 50 live rooms a day. To now we do about 3,000 live rooms a day and have 15 games live and 15 live formats on the platform, right? From games to live singing to live performances, etc. So now we are reaching where we realize that it's not just about launching new features. Now it's about not really optimizing. Second, launching things which are super meaningful for our creators and can help them really sort of build interactive communities and monetize at scale. So first part that we are very long on is that We truly believe that live is the future of live is the future of entertainment. Live is the future of communication, and interactive entertainment is here to stay. So how do we really make that, having been sort of market leaders now in this space in the past 1 year, and with the scale at which we're growing, we also now want to work towards, the first philosophy was that get creators and their fans onto EloElo. Now we are trying to build a lot on taking EloElo to all of those creators. So we are launching things like simulcast, where a YouTuber will be able to cast their EloElo live stream on YouTube as well, and sort of reach out to millions of their audiences. While interactivity happens here, they can sort of show it there and show what they're doing at EloElo, show an interactive live entertainment event happening real time. That's one aspect of it. Second is a lot more deeper on monetization. While we go deeper on creator communities, how do we let them monetize? How do we sort of launch our own ticketed spaces, our gifting, our creator commerce versions, and ensure that a creator, even if their expectation is to earn 10K, 15K, they're able to do that from this platform, and they're able to do creation full time, which is the entire thing. If we are in the longer run able to help 1 million creators monetize, which is the longer vision that we have, that get 1 million creators to monetize by 2025, if that really happens, then we've built a very large scale successful product. And that's what the team sort of is hustling. So you'll see the launch of newer games. We just launched Dumb Charades. We're now launching Pictionary, and version of SAP CD, and a lot of interesting things going on around there, along with a lot of more languages that are coming in, because what the product is, it's really built for Bharat. So more and more in Indian language speakers, Indian language creators coming in, hosting their own lives is the entire vision here. So yeah.
No, wish you all the best in your ambition of creating a million millionaires. Abhishek, I know you're significantly early in your journey, and you've been head down and deep at work. But what can we look forward to at Downtown?
So personally, I'm looking forward to being in cohorts of the likes of Saurabh and Gunjan, right? So to have a product that is out live and people using it and seeing a scale by naked eyes, right? But while the team is busy on getting the product live and launched, we've personally as a team moved forward in denoting what matters to our users, right? So ultimately, everything said and done, what exactly does the consumer want? And that is around engagement time. And we're trying to figure out what kind of features and what kind of modules do we go live with that allows a user to kind of have that me time on Downtown while it is discovering brands, products, and experiences across, right? For example, we're trying to build a way where it's not just about discovering my own products, but also to have a social loop around it, right? So how do I view products or brands that somebody else has liked or viewed, and that kind of allows the real world experiences of window shopping to be actually virtual window shopping. So getting all of those experiences in the app itself kind of allows us to grow organically, and that's the goal, right? The moment we start seeing that we are organically growing, that's where we start doubling down on the development that we're doing.
No, great. Thank you so very much, Gunjan, Saurabh, Abhishek. An extremely insightful and invigorating conversation. A lot of deep insights, both on your customer persona as well as your long tail supply side persona. Really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for partnering with us, and I really hope everyone in the audience enjoyed this discussion as well. Thank you so much.